The puppy was thrown to the cheetah, and that's what happened, not for the faint of heart. The cheetah and the puppy, an unlikely friendship. What happened next shocked everyone at the zoo. A tiny puppy was placed inside an enclosure with a cheetah cub. The staff held their breath. Would the wild instincts take over? Would this be a terrible mistake? What happened in those first few moments would determine if an incredible friendship could begin, or if they'd have to pull the puppy out immediately. But let me start from the beginning. This story begins on May 12, 2015, at the Metro Richmond Zoo in Virginia. It was supposed to be a day of celebration. A mother cheetah named Kari had just given birth to a litter of cubs. The keepers were excited, cameras were ready, and everyone gathered to watch the new family. But as the hours passed, something felt wrong. One cub wasn't moving like the others. While his brothers and sisters pushed and climbed over each other to nurse, this little one lay quietly to the side. He was smaller, weaker, and didn't have the energy to compete for food. The keepers noticed something else too. Kari seemed stressed and wasn't producing enough milk. After a careful examination, they discovered that only 2 out of her 8 nipples were actually working. The situation was critical. The weakest cub, who they named Kumbali, was fading fast. If they didn't act soon, he wouldn't survive the night. The decision was made quickly. Kumbali had to be separated from his mother and hand-raised by the zoo staff. It was the only way to save his life. They brought him to the veterinary center, wrapped him in soft blankets, and began bottle-feeding him every few hours. Slowly, Kumbali started to gain strength. His eyes brightened. He started to play. But there was another problem they hadn't anticipated. Kumbali was alone. In the wild, male cheetahs are incredibly social animals. They live in groups called coalitions, usually with their brothers. They hunt together, play together, and rely on each other for survival. Kumbali had been taken from his family to save his life, but now he was isolated. The keepers noticed he seemed sad and anxious. He would cry out at night, searching for the warmth and comfort of his siblings. The staff knew they had to do something. But what? They couldn't put him back with his mother. She still wasn't producing enough milk. They couldn't introduce him to another cheetah family. That would be too dangerous. Then someone remembered a program they'd heard about at the San Diego Zoo, something unusual that had been working for over 30 years. What if they gave Kumbali a friend? Not another cheetah, a dog. It sounds crazy, right? A cheetah and a dog living together. But research had shown that dogs could have an amazing calming effect on cheetahs in captivity. The confident, relaxed nature of dogs helped anxious cheetahs feel safe and secure. It was worth a try. The search began for the perfect companion. They needed a puppy around the same age as Kumbali, one with a gentle personality who wouldn't be too aggressive or too shy. They contacted animal shelters across Virginia and neighboring states, explaining their unusual request. That's when they found Kago. Kago was a mixed-breed puppy sitting in a shelter in Alabama. He had been surrendered by his previous owner and was scheduled to be euthanized in just a few days. But when the Richmond Zoo called, everything changed. Kago was given a second chance at life, and he was about to become part of something extraordinary. The day Kago arrived at the zoo, the staff were nervous. They had prepared a special space where the two could meet on neutral ground. Kumbali was now about 8 weeks old, still small but much healthier than when he'd first been separated from his mother. Kago was roughly the same size, with floppy ears and a wagging tail. The moment of truth arrived. They placed Kago in the enclosure first, letting him explore and get comfortable. Then, carefully, they brought Kumbali in. The cheetah cub froze. His ears went back. He crouched low. The keepers were ready to step in if things went wrong. But then Kago did something unexpected. He simply sat down and yawned. He wasn't scared or aggressive. He was just calm. After a moment, Kumbali took a tentative step forward, then another. He sniffed the air. Kago's tail wagged slowly. And then, like magic, Kumbali pounced. But it wasn't an attack. It was play. The two babies tumbled together, rolling in the grass. Kago barked happily. Kumbali chirped, the special sound that cheetahs make. The keepers let out a collective sigh of relief. It was working. Over the next few weeks, Kumbali and Kago became inseparable. They ate together, slept together, and played together for hours every day. Kago's confident personality helped Kumbali grow braver. When Kumbali seemed uncertain about new toys or experiences, he would watch Kago first. If the puppy wasn't afraid, then Kumbali felt safe too. The bond between them was real and deep. They weren't just roommates. They were best friends. As the months passed, both animals grew stronger and bigger. Kumbali's spotted coat became more defined, and his long legs gave him incredible speed. Kago grew into a handsome dog with a loyal, protective nature. They still played together every day, though the games were gentler now that Kumbali's wild instincts were developing. The zoo staff faced an important question. What would happen next? Should they try to reintroduce Kumbali to his cheetah family? Or should these two unlikely friends stay together for life? The decision wasn't easy. Kumbali's mother and siblings were thriving, and ideally, he would be with his own kind. But the bond between Kumbali and Kago was so strong that separating them might cause serious stress. The zoo director considered every option carefully. In the end, they made a choice that honored both animals. They would keep Kumbali and Kago together for the time being, monitoring their relationship as they grew. If, at any point, Kumbali showed signs that he needed to be with other cheetahs, they would make that transition carefully. And if that day came, Kago would go home with one of the keepers who had cared for him since day one. But for now, these two would continue their incredible journey together. Today, Kumbali and Kago's story has inspired millions of people around the world. Their friendship reminds us that connections can form in the most unexpected places, and that sometimes the help we need comes from the most unlikely sources. A cheetah who was too weak to survive found strength through a puppy who was scheduled to die. Together, they both found a reason to live. Their story isn't just about survival. It's about companionship, trust, and the power of friendship to change everything. It's proof that kindness can cross any boundary, even between species that would never meet in the wild. And it all started with one risky decision, one moment of hope, and two babies who just needed a friend.